There was emotions all the way through the operations. You can't see a young child, a baby, a woman crushed to death in front of you, and then you having to deal with the aftermath of that without being emotional. But our men and women are incredibly resilient and incredibly professional. And the scenes of emotion were saved till after the event, till after they did their duty.
I think it was more chaotic than we perhaps first thought. But then, that was the unfolding situation that presented ourselves. On the airfield in the early few days, you had desperate Afghans trying to flee, literally running towards aircraft. So that sort of set the tone for what would follow.
When you are dealing with a very large crowd that is fearful, in fear of its life, when women and children are being crushed and, yes, dying in some cases in your arms, your agency to deal with the situation and change it is very different than when you're on combat operations. But we evacuated over 15,000 people. I don't think that's helpless, but you know that there's only so much you can do. You know that everything outside your sphere of influence is controlled by the Taliban, and they're on a very, very different timeline and intent to your own.
So our forces were very close to where the explosion went off.
We weren't necessarily expecting it exactly when it happened, and we didn't know whether it manifest.
It's kind of an intractable problem trying to find one suicide bomber in a sea of about 20,000 people. And really it was just tragic and unfortunate that the explosion took place in the American sector.
It's carnage. When that level of explosion and combination of shrapnel is detonated, there is only one result, and that is carnage.
I think when you look at the numbers and the figures, the time we had to recover people and the environment and threat that was there, I think the figure that we achieved, allows us to be relatively comfortable with what we were able to do.
But it must have felt odd that you were leaving a country in which you'd fought, Britain had fought for the best part of 20 years, back in control of the Taliban, who they'd ousted.
Op pitting was about recovering, British personnel, and that's what we're doing.